Let it be understood clearly. When every material prop fails, it is not the anger of God nor a verdict against your worth. It is the inevitable hour in spiritual growth when the scaffolding must fall away so the structure may stand on its own foundation. You and I, sooner or later, will come to that place. And when we do, let us not call it tragedy. Let us recognize the hand of grace bidding us to see what cannot be shaken. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. When the human props go, the real builder is revealed. Now hear this correction with love, but hear it firmly. You do not live on yesterday's supply. You cannot. Give us this day our daily bread, not yesterday's hoarded loaf, not tomorrow's anxious store. This day man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. It is the proceeding word, the living, present utterance within, that feeds, clothes, houses, employs, and sustains. You may point to a bank book, to a wallet, to an invoice paid last week, but yesterday's manna will not feed you today. In the wilderness, when some tried to keep it, it bred worms and stank. Why? To teach a law. Supply is not a thing. Supply is the ever-flowing grace that appears as things when and where needed. Let us settle the distinction at once. Money is form. Supply is source. Money is a creature, a shape taken for a moment. Supply is the Creator's invisible givingness, the life of God expressing itself as food, as transportation, as right work, as wise timing, as favor with men and women, as ideas that open doors. If you and I cling to the coin, we fear its loss. If we rest in the source, we witness the coin, or the check, or the opportunity, or the quiet cancellation of a debt, whatever form. Grace elects without fear and without strain. Do you not see? If supply were money, why does money come and go? Why can two people hold the same sum and one is parched with fear while the other is at rest? If supply were dollars, then a vault would be salvation and a crash condemnation. But the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. If supply is God's grace, his living presence realized, why do we fear forms? Why do we tremble before the creature, as Paul warned, loving or dreading the creature more than the Creator? Is there any power apart from God? God is not a power to be used by man against lack. God is grace, one, infinite, indivisible sufficiency. There are not two powers, one called shortage and one called abundance, wrestling for the right to rule your day. There is one presence, and in its light, shortage is shown to be but a shadow of belief. I can tell you this not from book alone. I have stood with a handful of coins and bills, just enough for passage home and nothing more. And I have heard within, my grace is sufficient for thee. And sufficiency appeared not according to my anxious outline, not according to the world's calendar, but as the form required in that hour. The form changed again the next day, and again the next. The grace did not. That is the lesson. Do not attempt to live today on the story of yesterday. Honor it as testimony, but turn within for the living word. So, let us come into camaraderie in adversity. You and I, right here, meet fear together, not with argument, but with recognition. Withdraw your reliance from the figure on the page. Return it to the presence in the heart. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Relax. Rest in the assurance that supply is not somewhere else, sometime else, in someone else. It is here, this instant, as the word proceeding. Let it proceed. Let it be fresh. Let it be today. Let it be understood clearly. The notion that you would not have money problems if you were truly spiritual is a false measuring rod. It is the snare that keeps you judging your life by appearances while the heart is being invited to a deeper reliance. Do you not see that if you measured Christ Jesus by the outward picture of crucifixion, you would have called him a failure? And yet the crucifixion was not failure. It was the doorway. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? Do you not know that the very pressure you resent is the appointed means by which your trust in material props is loosened, not by cruelty, but by love? We have tried, all of us, to reach resurrection harmony without crucifixion. We have tried to skip the stripping away, to keep a little of our cherished props while speaking the language of spirit. And it is not going to be done. Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. Except our faith and form die, we abide alone with our ledges and our trembling. But when it dies, then trust awakens in the invisible source. Then we discover that life is not held up by coins and contracts, but by the everlasting arms. So, when a bill arrives and there seems no human way, do not say, I have failed spiritually. Say instead, here is my classroom. Count it, with James, all joy, when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. Financial fear is not a verdict. It is a revealer, a teacher. It is the voice in the wilderness crying, prepare ye the way of the Lord. Meaning, shift your reliance now. Withdraw it from the creature. Return it to the Creator, not by might, nor by power, not by hustle, nor by pleading, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Understand the aim. Your purpose is not to get rid of money problems, as if lack were a power to be overcome by a stronger power. God is not a power to be used by man against lack. There are not two powers. The work is to outgrow the belief that form, either in plenty or in shortage, has power. Take no thought for your life. What ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, is not irresponsibility. It is instruction to shift the seat of causation. Seek first the kingdom, the realized presence within, and the things will be added as effects, not as causes. I speak to you not as theorist. I have sat with a final notice on the table and a calendar conspiring against me. And I have heard within, be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And in that inner turning, the form of supply appeared sometimes as unexpected work, sometimes as a gift, sometimes as an idea that unfolded a door where no door had been. The fear said, prove it by cash. The Spirit said, prove it by trust. And as reliance moved, the forms moved. When reliance returns to the source, the coins may come back, the employment may flourish, but now you know them as effects only. They no longer define your safety. They illustrate your safety. They are the shadow cast by the tree, not the root that holds it. Do you see the freedom this births? You no longer scold yourself for the appearance that presses you. You use it. You let it pry your fingers from the idol of a single channel, a single figure, a single calendar date, and you rest in the one. In the world ye shall have tribulation. Yes, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Not the world overcome by battle, but the belief that the world's forms are power overcome by vision. Relax. Rest in the assurance that you are not being punished by the bill or examined by a harsh judge. You are being invited. Let the stripping away do its holy work. Let the crucifixion of trust in form complete itself, and the resurrection of grace realized will appear as the sufficiency of this day. Then, whether the purse is heavy or light, whether the channel is one or many, you are fed by every word proceeding, and the forms, they will come as they must in whatever shape love elects, and you will recognize them not as salvation, but as the footprints of the one who saved. Let it be understood clearly. Every material prop will be taken away from you and from me, not as punishment, not as cosmic cruelty, but as the merciful surgery by which we learn what cannot be taken. Do not limit prop to the obvious. Savings are a prop. Jobs are a prop. Clients, markets, partners, lenders, reputation, even the confidence you think you generate by your own will. These are props. Health insurance and credit scores, 5-year plans and the friendly nod of the bank manager props. And when they wobble, we cry, my supply is gone. Do you not see? Supply was never in them. What failed was a channel, and its failure revealed a confusion. We had been worshiping the pipe while forgetting the spring. Paul warned of this when he spoke of loving the creature more than the creator. Money is a creature. Contracts are creatures. Status, applause, opportunities creatures. They come and they go like the grass of the field. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, said the Master. But lay up treasures in heaven. Heaven is not above the clouds. Heaven is the realized presence, the invisible sufficiency that appears as what is needed, when it is needed, without strain and without delay. There are not two powers, one called shortage and one called surplus. God is not a power to be used by man against lack. God is grace. And grace, realized, is supply. Do you not see that fear is worship? Do you not know that what you fear, you endow with power? When you tremble before a number on a screen, you are saying, Thou art my God. When you pace the floor because a client has departed, you are bowing down to the creature. Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, Jeremiah cried. And blessed is the one whose hope the Lord is. Withdraw your reverence from form. Do not fear anything that has form, not even a thought. Heaven and earth shall pass away. All form shall shift, but my words shall not pass away. The word realized in you is the permanence in the midst of impermanence. I speak as one who has watched the scaffolding fall. I have seen accounts close in a morning, a market collapse in an hour, friends withdraw in a week, and the confidence I thought I owned evaporate like mist. And in that nakedness, when I could not pretend the props were the pillars, I heard within, Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Not the kingdom of coins, the kingdom of sufficiency. Then, one by one, forms reappeared, new work here, a remission of debt there, an introduction out of the blue, none of which I could have engineered while worshiping the broken idol. This is the law. When the creature is unseated, the Creator is seen. When the Creator is seen, the creature takes its rightful place. Useful, yes, but never power. So when a prop shakes, do not rush to prop the prop. Be still. Let the stripping away become your sanctuary. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, you are not resigning. You are relocating your trust. Sit back from the battle. Breathe. Whisper within, my grace is sufficient for thee. Let the heart consent. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And as that consent forms, panic dissolves into readiness. You will find that What remains is not a void, it is presence. It is the rock Christ spoke of. The rain descended, and the floods came, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. The sand of props will wash. The rock of realized grace will not. Relax. Rest in the assurance that nothing essential can be taken from you, for the essential is not in the thing, it is in the one. Let the channels change as they must. Let the figures rise and fall as they will. Stand inwardly on the permanence of the word, and watch, without fear, as the forms rearrange themselves around the unshakable center. What remains when the props are gone is the only thing that ever fed you. The living grace of God, present, sufficient, unfailing. Let it be understood clearly. Money is form. Supply is grace. In the material sense of life, we set up two forces and call one lack and the other abundance, and then we begin the wearisome travail of trying to use prayer, affirmation, or human ingenuity to make the so-called stronger force defeat the weaker. And it is not going to be done. God is not a power to be used by man. Do you not see? The very moment you attempt to make God war against lack, you have conceded lack a reality and asked the infinite to play in a contest of your making. In spiritual consciousness, there are not two powers. There is just spiritual grace, one, indivisible, changeless. Now, let us correct the idea of supply. Supply is not a reservoir to be tapped by clever technique, nor a bank balance appeased by positive thinking. Supply is the activity of divine love, the living presence of God, expressing itself in and as your experience. It appears as bread on the table, as rent met when due, as an idea in the night that dissolves a problem by morning, as a contact made without scheming, as strength for the task, as timing that no calendar could have arranged. Supply is spirit in motion. It is the word proceeding now, not a heap of things to be guarded for fear of tomorrow. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Do you not see the hidden battle posture that keeps you tired and afraid? You set yourself to conquer lack, and by the very act of resisting it, you enthrone it as power. You chant over it, push against it, argue with it, budget around it, and all the while it grows in stature in your imagination until it commands your worship. Fear is worship, worry is worship. When you lie awake calculating the inches between you and the due date, you are not communing with God. You are bowing before an appearance. Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? You cannot add $1 to your peace by battle. You can only multiply your fear. Here is the master's way. Resist not evil. That is not passivity. That is recognition. Withdraw the rod of your belief from the mirage. Stand still and see. Look the appearance in the face and say within, there is no power in you. There is no law to sustain you. God alone is. When the heart consents to the one power, the many forms that once frightened you lose their spell, and then quietly, without noise, without strain, all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not rested. Added, not earned by panic. Added, as shadows follow substance when the sun is high. I speak to you as one who has tried the other way. I have sat shifting affirmations like chess pieces, attempting to force a demonstration by mental push, and I have watched the sky remain brass. Then, exhausted, I turned within and ceased. My grace is sufficient for thee. I let that sentence descend from head to heart. I rested in it, and forms moved. A letter came. A door opened. A burden I thought mine to carry was lifted from another quarter entirely. The grace had not been absent. My warring had made it inaudible. Let it be clear to you that this non-resistance is not negligence about life. It is fidelity to truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth is not that there is a mighty God over here to crush a mighty lack over there. The truth is that God alone is. In that knowing, the specter of two powers dissolves. Then you discover, sometimes to your surprise, that the outward steps you take are simple, natural, unforced. A call you are moved to make, a skill you quietly develop, an expense you release without fear, a generosity you extend from assurance instead of calculation. These are the footprints of grace, not the machinery of manipulation. Relax. Rest in the assurance of one power, one presence, one inexhaustible sufficiency. Withdraw your reverence from the creature, even from that figure on the page, and give it back to the Creator. Be still long enough to feel the word proceeding in you this very hour. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not because want has been conquered by a greater might, but because in the light of the One, the shadow called want is seen as nothing, and the living grace of God appears precisely as this day requires. Let it be understood clearly, the law of daily manna is not a quaint tale from an ancient desert. It is the architecture of spiritual living now. Give us this day our daily bread. This day, not the bread you hoarded in your scrapbook of triumphs, not the ledger of yesterday's miracles you flipped through at midnight to calm your nerves. In the wilderness, those who kept yesterday's manna found it spoiled by morning. Why? To teach you and me that supply is not a thing stored, but the presence realized fresh, immediate proceeding. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Proceedeth, present tense, living tense, now. Do you not see how subtle the counterfeit is? Memory is a beautiful servant, but a tyrannical master. The mind will say, remember the last time I got the check just in time, that means I am safe. Or remember the time I fail, that means I am at risk. And in both uses, memory turns the living God into a historical idea and you into a curator of proofs. Yesterday's gain becomes your God. Yesterday's loss becomes your devil. And there you are again with two powers, while the living word waits at the door. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Not I stood long ago. I stand now. I speak to you from the weariness of having tried to live on memories. I have sat with a stack of past demonstrations and found that the peace I sought would not appear, because I was handling photographs of bread rather than eating bread. Pictures do not feed. Scrapbooks do not nourish. Only the present God felt, known, realized, becomes peace. And then, when peace is established, the form called supply takes shape, as it must. A phone call, an idea, a release of an expense, a kindness from an unexpected quarter. But the peace did not come from the story. It came from communion. So here is the practical posture shift. Stop asking, how will I get money? That is the mind's bargaining, the worship of outline. Sit back a moment now and let the question be changed within you. Father, show me thy sufficiency here. Lord, open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. Not tomorrow's safety, not next month's projection. Here, this breath, this hour, The shepherd shepherds now, or he is not a shepherd at all. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not because I have a map, but because I have a presence. Normalize the discomfort. The mind will cry for a guarantee, for a schedule, for a chart with arrows and dates. It cannot help itself. It was trained on creatures and clocks. Smile at it. Do not fight it. Do not feed it. Resist not evil. Let the demand for outline rise and fall without granting it power. Spirit does not trade in guarantees. Spirit imparts assurance without outline. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance, not speculation. Evidence, not blueprint. Assurance, not argument. And how is this assurance received? Not by more analysis, not by combing through your memories for one more comforting example to throw at your fear. It is received by more listening, by living with the word until it ceases to be a sentence you can quote and becomes a presence you cannot deny. Go back, time again and time again, to the inner altar. Whisper, my grace is sufficient for thee. And then be still long enough for the head's knowledge to sink into the heart's knowing. Truth does not come out of books, though books may point. It wells up from the deep withinness when thought grows quiet and consent grows strong. Then you will find a simple miracle. Today's manna is always enough for today. It is not enough for your fantasies of next year. It is not designed to satisfy the mind's hunger for control. It is designed to feed you, really feed you now. And as you are fed now, tomorrow becomes now when it arrives, and manna appears again. This is the law. Present revelation, present peace, present sufficiency. Relax. Rest in the assurance that your safety is not a memory and not a plan. It is the living God realized as the I am of this instant. In that realization, fear loosens, worship returns to the one, and the day your day unfolds with the quiet certainty of grace taking form. Let it be understood clearly. You can study supply from end to end, memorize the verses, underline the finest passages, and still tremble at the sound of the postman's step. You can quote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," and yet find your hands cold with fear when the envelope is thick. Do you not see? That is not failure of truth. That is the honest indication that truth has not yet dropped from the head to the heart. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. The letter words held as mental arguments cannot feed you. The spirit truth realized within as living presence becomes bread indeed. What is this dropping from head to heart? It is not another argument that outshouts fear. It is the dawning recognition that fear has no authority. Perfect love casteth out fear, not by wrestling with it, not by bargaining with figures, but by revealing fear as a shadow without law. When the heart perceives, really perceives, that God is, that grace is the only activity, that there are not two powers weighing your fate, fear loses its scepter, not by debate, by seeing. I speak to you from the fatigue of years in which I tried to manage lack with statements. I could say the right sentence and still lie awake. Then one evening, without fireworks, the sentence ceased to be mine and became God's. My grace is thy sufficiency, not a charm to force results, a revelation. It rose from within and rested on me like a hand, and the frantic measuring stopped. The mailbox did not change. I changed. Or rather, I yielded to what is changeless. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. From that hour, the same words had new weight, because they were spirit and not letter to me. How does this become your own? In the only way anything in spirit becomes ours, by living with it, time again and time again, until it lives as us. Take one truth, not a dozen one. My grace is thy sufficiency. Do not hurl it at problems. Do not pace the floor and chant it to twist outcomes. Sit down, be still. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Whisper it and then listen until it begins to speak itself in you. Let it move from tongue to awareness, from awareness to consent, from consent to rest. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, not in my notebook. In my heart, make it practical. Before opening the bills, close the eyes, withdraw from the battle, be still, and know that I am God. Feel after the presence, if haply you might find it, though it is not far from any one of us. Let the thought arise, not as petition, but as recognition. Father, thou art the fullness of this hour. Thy grace is my sufficiency here. Wait, breathe. When the mind demands a plan, smile inwardly and return to the knowing. 5 minutes, 10, 15, daily, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Do you not know why repetition is demanded? Because the head releases slowly, but each consent makes a path, and soon the path becomes a highway. And what are the signs that truth has become consciousness? Strain loosens without reason. The compulsion to check balances fades. You stop bargaining with channels. The chase subsides. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. When the heart treasures the source, the channels fall into their places without your whip. Then, quietly, the forms come. A client returns unbidden. An idea ripens into timely action. A debt evaporates by means you did not engineer. A new avenue of service presents itself. Seek ye first the kingdom, first the realized presence, and the things are added, not hunted, added, not coerced. Relax. Rest in the assurance the demonstration does not begin with sentences in the mind. It begins when truth becomes your state of being, not by might, nor by power, not by anxious budgets, nor iron affirmations, but by my spirit. Live with one word until it becomes life within you. Let my grace as thy sufficiency rise again and again until fear discovers it has no office in your house. Then you will find, almost to your surprise, that as you cease chasing channels, channels begin to find you not as idols to secure, but as the natural footprints of grace on the path you are already walking. Peace I leave with you, not as the world giveth, present, living, sufficient. I speak to you now, not from theory, but from the experience of having made the demonstration when there was no human way. One winter I had, after paying what could be paid, exactly $17 and some coins, a pantry of indifferent odds and ends, and rent due in 2 days. No appointments on the calendar, no client likely, no family to telephone for a rescue, and the mind hammering at me with pictures of failure. Do you know that hour? Do you know the taste of that fear? I paced. I added and subtracted. I rearranged the same figures as if they would bear new fruit by being moved to a different column. And the more I wrestled, the more real the specter of lack became, until it stood in the room, clothed in my reverence. Fear is worship. Then the turning, not heroism, exhaustion, I ceased. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. I closed the ledger, drew the shade against the tyranny of the clock, and became quiet. Be still and know that I am God, not as petition, as recognition. Father, thou art the sufficiency of this moment. Thy grace is my supply. I sat until the tremble met the presence, and the presence did not move. A warmth, not physical, but certainty rose like a tide, and with it the simplest inner sentence: my grace is thy sufficiency. No charts, no plan, assurance without outline. Do you not see? The battle ended the instant I withdrew my belief in two powers. That afternoon the first form appeared, and it was not cash. A dentist's office telephoned to say that due to a clerical review, they had discovered an overcharge on a previous visit. A credit would be applied, eliminating the appointment fee I had dreaded for the next week. Expense canceled. Within the hour, an old acquaintance called out of the blue to ask if I could fill in as a speaker that evening for a small group. There would be a token honorarium. And would I come? Unexpected invitation. The next morning's mail brought a letter from a periodical to which I had sent an article months prior and forgotten. It would run in the next issue, and they enclosed a check. A timely call followed from a friend who had been impressed, he said, for no good reason, to return a book with an envelope in it. Just felt I should. And most quietly of all, an idea, gentle as a bird, perched in thought, combined 3 notes I had been teaching into a single pamphlet and placed 10 copies in the lobby where I was to speak. Simply place them with no price, and let those who wish take them. Cast the net on the right side of the ship. John 21:6. I did not argue. I obeyed the inner nudge. Do you not see the lesson? None of those forms was cause. The canceled expense was not my security. The invitation was not my savior. The check from the periodical was not a law. The idea itself was not a technique. Cause was the realization, the shift of reliance from creature to creator, from the mirage of two powers to the one presence. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. The answer was already present, but I could not hear it while I was shouting at appearances. This pattern has repeated, always new in form. Once the relief came as borrowed equipment returned before a billing cycle renewed. Once as a landlord phoned to say he felt led to delay the increase he had planned. Once as strength in the body, so that work, which usually took 2 days, took 1, and income followed from timeliness. Once as the desire to give in that very crunch, and in the very giving a channel opened I had not seen. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. The way appears, not because we pound the table, but because the way is what God is, and God is never absent. Guard your heart here against superstition. Do not make an idol of my channels. The temptation is to say, the answer is in writing an article, or the trick is to place pamphlets, or if I give, then surely. No, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Do not copy another's form. Follow the inner word. What is that to thee? Follow thou me. John 21:22. Today the manna may be a canceled bill. Tomorrow it may be an idea. The next day a friend. The next the quiet courage to release an expense you thought indispensable and discover it never fed you. Yesterday's outline will rot like yesterday's manna if you try to hoard it. Only the presence is the law. Only the word proceeding now is bread. Relax. Rest in the assurance that when reliance shifts to the source, supply appears precisely, silently, sometimes humorously, through whatever form is needed. Do not strain to forecast the shape. Let grace choose its instrument. Seek first the kingdom within. Let the forms be added as shadows follow substance. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And in the kingdom, the way where there was no way is the most natural thing in the world. Let it be understood clearly. A channel is not supply. This is the modern Manna test. We rename one pipeline my supply, my employer, my best client, my market, my platform, and when that pipe trembles, our heart trembles with it. Do you not see the idolatry at work? The pipe is treated as God, and God is reduced to a vague sentiment we mention on Sundays. No man can serve two masters. When you serve the channel with dread and bargaining, you cannot serve the source with trust and love. Choose ye this day whom ye will serve. If God is infinite, why would the operation of his grace depend upon one employer's signature, one client's whim, one market's weather, one algorithm's mood? Do you not know the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof? Fullness is not a single spigot. Fullness means fields upon fields, pathways upon pathways, 1,000 roads through the same forest. Lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. Lift up your eyes off the single pipe, off the God you have made of a paycheck, off the charm you think you must perform to keep a customer from leaving. Look up and out and within, where the source is. Now, let us correct the posture. Gratitude, yes. Bondage, no. Give thanks for your work, for your clients, for the marketplace that presently serves as a channel, but do not bow to it. A channel is the effect of consciousness, not the support of it. When spiritual assurance fills the heart, channels assemble. When fear rules the heart, channels are driven like slaves and then flee. I have watched this when I clutched. The very forms I feared to lose grew brittle. When I relaxed into the one presence, the same forms either softened and remained, or they passed and better forms took their place, with less strain and more grace. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Paths, plural. Not a single tightrope over a canyon. The mind will object. If I relax, I will become irresponsible. Nonsense. Relaxation in spirit is not sleep. It is alertness purified of panic. It is the cessation of manipulative strain so that intelligent, timely action can arise. Take no thought for your life does not mean neglect. It means release the anxious thought so discernment can lead. You will find that when you withdraw fear from the channel, you see more clearly how to serve it wisely, edit your work, make the call, learn the skill, show up on time, not as appeasement, but as expression, not by might, nor by the sweat of coercion, but by my spirit directing the step. Do you not see how clinging corrupts love? You flatter the boss to keep the check. You underprice the work to keep the client. You pretend the peace you do not feel to keep the door from closing. That is not service. That is servitude to a creature. Cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm. Withdraw the worship and relationships grow clean. You will say what is true without fear. You will allow a client to go without collapse because you know the source cannot go. And then, almost playfully, new openings appear. A recommendation you did not solicit, a niche you had not seen, an invitation from an unexpected quarter. Before they call, I will answer. Let it be clear to you, the end of the single pipeline fear is not laziness. It is freedom. Freedom to serve without begging. Freedom to create without flattery. Freedom to release without revenge. When channels are held lightly, they multiply naturally, or they rearrange to suit the grace you are resting in. Seek first the kingdom, the realized presence, and let the market be what markets have always been. Shifting weather, not the sun. Relax. Rest in the assurance that your life is not in a contract, nor in a customer list, nor in a platform's favor, but in the living God. As you consent to that, the fear that form is power dissolves, and the forms, relieved of your grasp, find their rightful places around you, useful, companionable, and free. Let it be understood clearly. Do not attempt to prove supply to anyone. The next temptation, once you have turned from a single pipeline, is to turn toward a single audience, spouse, parent, friend, and say within yourself, if I can show them a big month, if I can make this payment with flourish, they will understand my path, and it is not going to be done. Do you not see? You have smuggled back the creature through the side door. Only now the creature is not a job or a market. It is a relative's approval. You have made money the scoreboard of worth. And you are back in the tyranny of two powers, success to sanctify you, failure to shame you. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. Luke 17:20. Your loved ones cannot be convinced by numbers, because numbers belong to the realm of observation, and spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. If they have not been given the hearing ear for this moment, no display will grant it, and if they have, no lack of display will steal it. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. This is freedom for you, and it is honor to them. I speak to you as one who tried to use a bank statement as a sermon. For a season I strained to time visible results to match a family visit, so they might see how well this path was going. The more I strained, the more the life went hollow. Forms delayed, peace fled, and when at last an outward proof appeared, it was met with a shrug and a theory about timing and luck. Do you see the futility? A spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. Take heed that ye do not your arms before men, to be seen of them. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Matthew 6:1. The applause, if it comes, is the whole of it. The inner reward piece has been traded for performance. Grant your dear ones the dignity of their own path. You may offer them a book, a pamphlet, a word spoken gently. You may let them observe your calm in the hour of bills, your refusal to vilify a channel, your readiness to bless those who part from you. But go no further. Do not argue. Do not parade. Do not attempt to stage a miracle on cue. What is that to thee? Follow thou me. John 21:22. Love does not coerce. Love does not turn life into theater. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. Keep liberty in the relationship. Preserve freedom, yours and theirs. Do you not know how coercion drains supply? It converts living into audition. You spend rather than serve. You give to be seen. You save to be applauded. You hustle not from inspiration, but from hunger for vindication. In that atmosphere, the presence is muffled, and channels become brittle under the pressure to perform. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. Matthew 6-3. Secret does not mean hidden from need. It means hidden from vanity. It means the motive is love, not leverage. Now let us correct the measuring rod. Peace is the sign, not spectacle. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. John 14:27. Not as the world, with trophies and proof, as spirit, with assurance, without outline. Let your quiet be the sermon. Let your freedom from scramble be the ministry. Let your tenderness under pressure be the light. Let your light so shine before men, Matthew 5:16, not by dazzling them with outcomes, but by the unstudied radiance that appears when you are not trying to be radiant. The fruit announces the tree in its own time. You do not need to hold up the branch and shout. Relax. Rest in the assurance that your life is not accountable to their stopwatch, nor to your ego's scoreboard, but to God's grace. Offer what love bids, and then withdraw from the battle to convince. If you must prove anything, prove it to your own heart by entering the secret place and dwelling there until fear is still. The day will come when someone asks, quietly, what is this calm? Then speak the word you have lived. Until then, keep liberty. Keep secrecy of motive. Keep your eyes single. Do not use money as proof to others. Let peace be the demonstration, and let grace write its testimony where it always writes within. Now, let us be very practical. In the hour of bills, when the envelope is thick and the breath grows thin, what do? This is the hour of demonstration, not when the check arrives, but when the fear arrives. The first act of supply is not arithmetic. It is not persuasion. It is the withdrawal of your worship from the appearance. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. John 7:24. Set the papers down. Sit, feel the chair. Unclench the jaw. Open the hands. Breathe. Relax. Rest. Settle back from the fray, as if stepping off a crowded street into a quiet chapel. Be still and know that I am God. Here is a simple posture for that moment. First, acknowledge the appearance without bowing to it. Yes, here are numbers. Yes, they claim deadlines and dictate emotions. Yes, they stand in front of you like little pharaohs crying, make bricks without straw. See it and say within, I see you, but I do not worship you. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Exodus 20-3. Recognizing an appearance is honesty. Kneeling to it is idolatry. Second, deny it power. Do not curse it. Do not resist it. Simply make the quiet, inward recognition. There are not two powers. This paper is not power. This date is not law. This figure is not a god. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Zechariah 4-6. Third, turn within for the word. Do not manufacture it. Do not shout it. Wait for it. Whisper, my grace is sufficient for thee. 2 Corinthians 12-9. And then listen until the sentence ceases to be yours and becomes God's in you. Let a measure of peace rise assurance without outline. If it does not come at once, wait. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30-15. Do you not see the order? We do not run from the mail. We do not argue with the mail. We remove the crown from the mail and give it back to the one. Withdraw from the battle. Then return to the papers as one who has already won. because the contest itself has been dissolved. When the heart is quieted, then you act if action is asked. You pay what is to be paid as you are led. You make a call as you are led. You apply for work. You revise the proposal. You simplify an expense. You render service all as you are led. The actions may look like yesterday's, but the atmosphere is not. They arise from peace, not panic, from listening, not lunging. Take no thought for your life, Matthew 6:25. Does not mean negligence. It means you do not let anxious thought be your master. Seek first the kingdom, first the realized presence, and the actions come as natural fruit. The mind will demand guarantees. Smile at it. Let it ask its questions and answer none of them. Resist not evil, Matthew 5:39. Each time the spike of fear returns, repeat the simple order. Acknowledge, deny power, turn within. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, if needed. You will discover that the sense of crisis deflates, not by winning an argument, but by losing an idol. Then, often quietly, form adjusts. A fee is waived, an idea emerges, a payment is staggered, a new door appears. But remember, you did not do this to get a door. You did this because God is God. And in the atmosphere where God is God to you, doors are not enemies. They are simply hinges upon which the day turns. Keep this practice ready at hand. Before opening the mail, be still a moment. Before logging into the bank, be still a moment. Before a difficult conversation, be still a moment. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55-22. Sustain means hold from beneath. You are not holding up the world while you fish for a miracle. You are letting the everlasting arms hold you while you fulfill today's appointment with grace. If in the stillness nothing is shown outwardly, do not invent wait. Walk the next simple step of integrity you already know, and let the rest ripen in silence. Relax. Rest in the assurance that withdrawing power from appearances is not passivity. It is obedience to the one. It is the end of two powers thinking in the most ordinary corner of life, the kitchen table at the hour of bills. In that place, holiness arrives in work clothes. There, the daily manna law operates. Present word, present peace, present sufficiency. And because this cannot be rushed, the deepest part of supply is done not in frantic planning, but in silent communion. In a few moments, we will enter that silence together. For now, take this simple practice as your staff. Acknowledge, deny power, turn within. The shepherd is here. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23-1. And in that knowing, the day is met not by might, not by worry, but by spirit. Peace. Be still. At this moment, let us all meditate. Settle. Let the hands rest, the shoulders drop, the breath come and go of itself. Do not attempt to improve this moment. Do not attempt to demonstrate. Simply be. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. Feel the chair beneath you, the floor beneath the chair, the everlasting arms beneath it all. You are held. Now, let the names of fear come, if they wish. Rent, tuition, payroll, tax notice, medical bill, market dip, aging parent, empty calendar. Do not hush them. Do not argue with them. Let each one rise as a creature with form, and then watch it pass as cloud. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Exodus 20-3. These names are not gods. They are not law. They are not power. There are not two powers, only grace. Breathe again. Inhale gently. Exhale fully. Let the nervous system take its cue from the spirit within you and loosen its grip. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Luke 12:32. If a picture insists on staying, bless it. I do not resist you. I withdraw my worship from you. Creature, you are form only. I acknowledge the one. Now, into this cleared space, let the word be planted, not hurled, not chanted to force evidence, gently planted. My grace is thy sufficiency, 2 Corinthians 12-9. Again, with less effort. My grace is thy sufficiency. And now, hear it as if it rises from within you, rather than being sent up by you. My grace is thy sufficiency. Let the sentence rest upon the heart as a hand, not a plan, not an outline assurance without edges. Let us receive the daily manna. Whisper within, I do not live on yesterday's supply. I live by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Matthew 4-4. Not yesterday's check, not last year's story. This word, now, this breath, now, this presence, now. Give us this day our daily bread. Matthew 6:11. Daily, not hoarded, fresh, not stored. The letter stored becomes stale. The spirit given now is bread indeed. Rest here. There is nothing to win, nothing to repel, nothing to perform. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Zechariah 4-6. Let that truth soak from mind to marrow. There are not two powers, not lack and God, not Bill and God. God is, grace is. And in the isness of God, the day is already provided for in ways the mind cannot sketch. Peace, be still. Mark 4:39. If a thought intrudes, how will it come? When will it come? Let the smile rise. What is that to thee? Follow thou me. John 21:22. Return to the word. My grace is thy sufficiency. Let it become the quiet background music of your awareness. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55-22. Sustain, hold from beneath. Feel yourself held. We will close this stillness with a charge, not to do more, but to come earlier. Return here daily. Come early in your day before news, before numbers, before opinions. 15 quiet minutes if you can, 5 if you must. Enter the secret place and receive today's manna. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up. Psalm 5-3. Look up, not out. Let the word be first, so that forms may be added and not hunted. And if the day rattles you, come again at noon, come again at night, time again and time again, until this knowing becomes the atmosphere you live in. Relax. Rest in the assurance that as you keep this appointment with the presence, sufficiency becomes present and practical. Channels will appear and disappear like footsteps in sand. The source abides. Leave this meditation softly as one who has eaten. Carry the quiet with you. And when the next envelope is thick, remember the order. Acknowledge, deny power, turn within. My grace is thy sufficiency. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23-1. Amen.